Buckle up, gearheads, because what's happening between Washington and Tokyo is more than just another tariff spat. It's a full-blown, gear-grinding showdown that could wreck more than a few balance sheets. You're tuned into your ultimate pit stop, Piston Pundit, and today we're diving headfirst into the trade turbulence that's rocking Japanese automakers in the US, with Trump pushing a 25% tariff under Section 232 and Japan's top negotiators scrambling to keep things from overheating. The stakes couldn't be higher. From Ohio's seat factories to Alabama's engine plants, here's what this high-octane drama really means under the hood. Trade tensions ignite. How the tariff engine got fired up. Since late 2024, Section 232 tariff talks have intensified, fueled by the US's Liberation Day initiative, a 10% baseline tariff with proposed hikes targeting Japan. At the center, a looming 25% duty on Japanese auto imports. Tokyo's top negotiators, including envoy Ryosei Akazawa, rushed to Washington ahead of the critical July 9, 2025 deadline. But talks have stalled, largely due to Japan's refusal to open its rice market. President Trump has escalated the rhetoric, calling Japanese car imports unfair and hinting at even steeper penalties. This isn't just political theater. Automakers like Toyota, Honda, Nissan, and others pump out millions of vehicles in the US, generating $170 billion in sales. Their supply chains are deeply woven into American industry, from Alabama's steel mills to Ohio's software hubs. A Bank of Japan survey shows profit expectations falling, even as general sentiment ticks up. Business index plus 13. Dealers, workers, and investors are bracing for impact. This isn't just about cars. It's a trade gamble with real consequences for entire regions and industries. But profits aren't the only thing in danger. Let's shift to what this means for prices, production, and your next car. Sticker shock ahead, sales margins and the tariff tally. Japanese automakers command 44% of the US light vehicle market, backed by strong local production and import sales. In 2023 alone, Toyota, Honda, Nissan, Subaru, and the Mazda-Toyota joint venture built nearly 3.4 million vehicles in US plants. Total US sales, including imports, hit 6.32 million units, generating $169.7 billion in revenue and contributing an estimated $31.3 billion in corporate, payroll, and sales taxes. But that stability is now under threat. A proposed 25% tariff on imports and a matching parts levy effective May 3, 2025, could hike vehicle prices by $4,400 on average. Margins already razor thin, 7.1% for Toyota, 5.6% for Honda, 4.3% for Nissan, are facing intense pressure. Toyota has already raised prices by $270 in response. The parts tariff hits engines, transmissions, and electronics, core components that drive up production costs across the board. If automakers pass those costs to consumers, demand may fall. If they absorb them, profits shrink. Either path could freeze investment or trigger offshoring. The industry faces a tough balancing act: consumer affordability versus manufacturing viability in North America. Before we delve deeper, do us a favor and smash that like and subscribe button. It helps Piston Pundit bring more high-octane insights to fellow auto lovers like you. Now let's shift gears and take a hard look at what this trade turbulence means for American workers. Jobs on the line, the real cost of retaliation. Japanese automakers support over 500,000 US jobs, including 96,000 direct manufacturing roles, 227,600 supplier-based positions, 113,000 induced jobs, and 17,000 corporate staff. Together, they generate an estimated $93 billion in annual payroll. In manufacturing-heavy states like Alabama, Kentucky, and Mississippi, these companies represent 11 to 22% of total factory employment. Analysts warn that tariff-driven downsizing could spike regional unemployment by up to 2.6 percentage points. The U.S. Congressional Budget Office estimates that halving Japanese automaker output could slash federal revenues by $18 to $21 billion in 2026 and $26 to $28 billion in 2027, totaling up to $62 billion in lost revenue over 3 years. Markets have already responded. Japanese auto stocks are down 21.7% year-on-year as of May 2025, prompting global investors to shift towards safer sectors like tech and healthcare. But beyond numbers, the real impact hits communities. Factory closures threaten entire local economies. Schools, housing, small businesses all rely on the stability these jobs bring. If tariffs go through, it's not just an industry shakeup. It's a regional crisis waiting to unfold. But it's not just about jobs or numbers. The next impact zone? The very backbone of innovation, America's supplier networks. Tariffs and turbulence, when supply chains hit the brakes. The U.S. auto industry runs on a massive $1.3 trillion supply and service network, spanning steel, seats, software, and logistics. Toyota's Kentucky lines use 72% U.S.-made parts, Honda's Marysville 68%, and Nissan's Smyrna 58%. But new tariffs on key components, engines, batteries, ECUs, are set to double the cost of complex assemblies. This hits not just automakers, but nearly 197,000 U.S. employees at Kaizen and Lean-certified suppliers trained under Japan's Toyota production system. Sudden disruption could spark what experts call reverse industrialization syndrome, a sharp drop in capacity, with suppliers unable to pivot to new automakers quickly. The fallout could erode decades of production culture, including partnerships with technical schools, innovation labs, and regional R&D. Even the 0.22-point gain in U.S. productivity from supplier clustering is now at risk. While 70% of Tier 2 and Tier 3 suppliers are exploring geographic diversification, retooling requires time, money, and stable demand. Without that, the ripple effect could stall America's auto innovation engine, leaving the industry not only more expensive, but slower, less agile, and far less competitive. That's not the only chain reaction in play. Let's talk about how this hits you, the driver, the buyer, the person trying to choose between a hybrid and a pickup. Price hikes, hybrids, and the EV speed bump. Let's not forget the other half of the equation, you, the buyer. Japanese brands dominate America's hybrid and compact SUV market. 3 out of 5 hybrids, and 2 out of every 3 subcompact SUVs come from Japanese automakers. If a 25% tariff becomes reality, those hybrids could suddenly cost $4,400 more. That's not just a hit to the wallet. It's a shockwave through the transition to greener vehicles. Buyers might ditch fuel-efficient options and pivot to used cars or cheaper trucks. And while Ford and GM are racing toward all-electric futures, new EV production lines don't pop up overnight. We're talking 22 months minimum. Meanwhile, rising car prices feed inflation expectations. Consumer confidence could dip by 6 to 8 points, making it harder for the Fed to engineer a soft landing. Even top economists at JP Morgan and Brookings warn that while tariffs might encourage reshoring under the USMCA framework, they bring baggage, higher prices, fractured supply lines, and a bumpier path to electrification. In short, higher prices, slower EV growth, and fractured supply chains don't just hurt the industry. They delay our drive towards sustainable mobility. So where does that leave us? Let's bring it all together at the final stretch. Trade Showdown, the high-stakes crossroads ahead. As July 9th approaches, the US-Japan Auto Alliance stands at a historic fork in the road. Sure, a 25% tariff might trim the trade deficit, but at what cost? We're talking about jeopardizing 500,000 US jobs, eroding $30 billion in tax revenue, and dismantling a $1 trillion supply web. More than that, it risks dulling the cutting edge of innovation, especially in hybrid and electric vehicles, just as global momentum begins to build. Sticker shock, delayed tech rollouts, and supply crunches could ripple far beyond showrooms, affecting everything from Wall Street to Main Street. So the big question isn't whether the tariff makes headlines, it's whether it sets the industry back a decade. Before you go, what do you think? Will Japanese automakers really start pulling out of the US? Can American supply chains step up in time, or are we risking a long-term decline? Would you pay more for a hybrid, or is it time to rethink your next ride? Let us know what's revving in your mind down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe to Piston Pundit so you never miss the next vehicle update or automotive shakeup. See you in the next one, Road Warriors. You can now check out any of the videos on the screen. There's plenty more to explore.